Hello, everyone. I'm Captain Logan, and joining me once again are Austin the Day Ghost
Hello, everyone.
and Connor Nielsen
Hey,
for the series we'll be doing until one of us croaks. It's our top 100 favorite non superhero movies ever made. We have knocked out 25 of these. In
Yeah,
like a
getting
month and a
there.
half. We're gaining traction here. We're cooking with gas, and we're gonna do 5 more tonight, which will amount to 15, and it'll be very exciting. I can't wait to see what else these guys have. I'm looking at my section and my next section and thinking some of these are objectively not as good as other movies I've mentioned, but are more my favorites. And I don't know if you guys are going to start running into that more and more on your list, but I feel like I almost have to justify some of my higher choices than my lower ones I'm finding.
look, I put Troll 2 ahead of Autumn Sonata, so I'm already there. All right.
He's like, nobody feel guilty. Look what I just did. Look what I did.
Yeah, I put Troll 2 potentially high. We may never know.
Did we, when he was talking about Troll 2, did we watch Austin do this? Did that happen?
uh, Potentially.
Connor, we should have had a rule where everybody has to wear a superhero shirt while we're talking about non-superhero movies.
Oh yeah. Let me go change. I'm sure I got something I can whip up.
No, you're just wearing a white T-shirt with a who's a superhero that wears all white? Moon Knight. You're wearing a
Oh
Moon Knight
yeah.
shirt.
There we go. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
Moon Knight when it's like the summertime, and it's like hot, and he's like, I don't want to wear long sleeves. So
It's when he's the Mr. Knight persona, but he's like, God damn, it's hot outside.
yeah, there we go.
That's one of my favorite looks for a character. The Mr. Knight suit is so freaking cool.
Very cool. It's very cool.
Okay, well, enough about superheroes. The whole point of this is it's not superheroes. We begin, as we always do, with Connor, who's going to give us his number 75. And we'll remind you where we left off. My 76 was producers. What were your 76s?
Silence of the Lambs.
Troll 2.
No, Troll 2.
Oh, yeah.
I read that was the very last thing you talked about. Okay, Connor, give us a wonderful segue like you did last time, as if you really wanted to get to this next one, but you weren't able to. Ready, go.
Well, your last pick, Cap, was about people trying to put on some kind of production, and this is semi related
And
to
this
that in a
is
similar
a
way.
production. Great
This is
segue. Nicely done.
yeah. So I think you guys are starting to learn something about my tastes. I have a few kind of modes or a few gears that really appeal to me. I like cynical stuff. I like kind of between like your Indiana Jones and the Temple of Dooms and Showgirls. I have like a mean spirited kind of streak in me. But I also have a thing for wistful, nostalgic coming of age stories, which usually means the director telling their own origin story. And this next one is actually my favorite Joe Dante film because usually he's in that kind of more smart alecky, kind of cynical, uh, playing jokes on the audience type mode. But he gave us a very sincere movie called Matinee in the year 1990, I believe. 92, my bad. 1992. The man on the poster is John Goodman, but he's actually a secondary character. This is a lovely movie. And I had always heard about it, and I figured I would like it when I watched it. And I was honestly very surprised when I did see it by how much I liked it. It is set during the Cuban Missile Crisis in the Florida Keys, where you have a boy who is really the Joe Dante surrogate. He has a younger brother, but his dad is actually on one of the boats that is in the blockade during the Cuban Missile Crisis, and he is scared. His mom is scared. They, are kind of living on the base, and no one really knows what's happening. Everyone thinks the world is going to be ending. But this kid loves the movies, and he's in middle school, and you have school romance, you have him meeting friends, yeah, and he's going to the movies to watch Atomic Age B movie horror movies. And what I love so much about this is it kind of speaks to why that generation of like baby boomers, I guess he would kind of fall into that generation, like why they really responded to this kind of movie, why the Atomic Age kind of corny B movies were so special. And like, yeah, they're kind of corny and like they're not believable, but the real world was so scary and unpredictable during this time. You needed to have that kind of ridiculousness, have fun while you were scared. And like the real world was enough of a horror movie as it was, and was atomic fear. And so it's very charming, it's very cute, it's very funny. It's also very sincere, and it's a mode you don't really see Joe Dante doing much, but he does it very well. It has a bit of a James Cameron quality to the ending where the film's climax goes on and on and on and on for about a half an hour. And the first time I watched it, I'm like, let's wrap this up. The second time I watched it, I'm like, I'm having too much of a good time. I'm vibing out. This is great. Um, but it's got a lot of like the regulars. Kevin McCarthy's in it. And you have what's his face? Robert Picardo is in it as the theater owner. You have and of course John Goodman. He plays a sort of William Castle-esque schlockmeister. The new movie that is going to have its special preview screening is called Mant. Part man, part ant, man. What's it say? Half man, half ant, all terror. It's Lawrence Woolsey, and he's going to be there to sort of promote it. And he's a sort of William Castle type where he's like putting buzzers in the seats. You have a guy in a mant costume that's going to run around the theater. And so you get kind of like cinephilia, the magic of movies monologues. But when, it seems a little schmaltzy for Joe Dante, but Lawrence Woolsey isn't Alfred Hitchcock. He's William Castle. So he's a little bit of a hustler. And so like even that sort of cinephilia is sort of wrapped up in a little bit of like yeah, but the real world's a little cynical. Of course, Dick Miller's there, and John Sayles, the screenwriter, and him play a couple of like paid like outrage artists who are on the payroll of Lawrence Woolsey to help generate interest by saying that it's going to cause a moral panic. Like it's very fun. I would recommend this to anybody who hasn't seen it. And Shout Factory just put out a 4K, I think, last year. Highly recommend this to anybody. If you like this sort of wistful, nostalgic American Graffiti type movie, it's Joe Dante doing that. Anyways, that's my number 75 is Matinee. Should be called Mantinee, but I don't think that would have sold any tickets. It didn't sell any tickets as is. Big bomb, but I love it.
I still need to see that because I love Joe Dante, but there's a couple of his movies I still need to knock off the list, and that's probably the biggest one.
Yeah, no, it's generated an interest in Joe Dante for me where I've always enjoyed Joe Dante. Like, I like Piranha. I mean, I've actually never seen the Gremlins movies, but like, I don't know, like he saved
Yeah.
the Twilight Zone movie, and so like, like he's a cool guy, but that is generating an interest in me wanting to go through his entire filmography.
Oh, for sure, yeah. No, I need to knock that off because I think I'm only missing a couple.
Yeah, that's one of those directors that like, I've obviously seen some things of, but never like put together that they're all him. I was
he's
just looking
like
at a
an
list.
old-fashioned-
Did he do the Phantom, or did he just like did
I
he
just
actually
produced that.
direct that?
No, I don't think he directed it.
I didn't think so.
Yeah,
He
I
also did an introduction for one of those new EC Tales from the Crypt volumes, and I was pretty happy with that. He did that. That was cool.
Oh my God! I actually saw him. I'm sorry. I went to a film festival and he introduced The Day the Earth Stood Still, and listening to him like,
Oh, that's cool.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
gosh, it was so cool. I should have led with that. My bad.
That's really cool.
It's a new rule.
Was Dick Miller there too?
If you met someone
Like
in the
it-
production, you have to say that
the
straight
pocket.
away before you even tell us what the movie is. You have to say that. Austin, clown looking funny man is back.
Oh, he's back.
He's back, and now he is wanting to put something in for request, and it's a documentary I've never heard of called Chicken Hawk that I just looked up, and it looks like it's something about like a gay rights movement in the early 90s is at first glance what I'm seeing about it. So yeah, thanks for the $20 super chat. I will put that on the list. I just know that we're pretty backed up for requests, and usually I'm telling him this because that's a new name as of last night, so I don't know if he's a regular that changed his name or if he's new to the channel. But we usually take requests through Patreon. I will, when somebody does that, go ahead and honor it, but if we get too many in a single night, I will cap it off, because I can't let that list get too out of control. People are already having to wait 8 months to a year right now. So anyway, thank you for that. We will honor it. Just know it's going to take us a while to get there. Anyway, I will get this on the list while we're listening to Austin's 75. Go ahead, sir.
Back to my big box of Bond.
That's a nice alliteration.
Thank you. My number 75 is On Her Majesty's Secret Service. And
wow, really?
Yeah,
that's great. I just kindred spirits. I didn't think anybody else would think. No, I love that movie, and I wouldn't have thought anybody else would put that on their top. I don't think I did, but like of the Bond movies I really like, that would have been a contender, certainly.
Yeah, no, I
sorry. I thought I was the only one that liked that movie.
No, it's one of the best Bond films with the worst Bond actor.
It is
fine,
but it's up until a couple of Craig movies. It was the only like real honest to god like character study with like a real arc that you get with Bond. Like that's why I like it.
Yeah, for sure. No, and I really like the Bond girl in that, Tracy, who is of course Diana Rigg. Thank you. I'm like, it starts with a D. Why isn't it coming to me? She's wonderful, and even though I think it's the weakest Bond actor, I do think that he nails that final scene. That ending is really great. It's really funny that he's dubbed through like 20% of the movie. But that section's also fun. He's just like straight up in an Austin Powers outfit through that. All that's really great. It's basically also the only Christmas James Bond movie, which is interesting. And it's a cool one to put out at that time. And I had like a really weird moment when the new game came out, because there's a part where you're talking to M, and she goes, "Oh, you work on His Majesty's Secret Service." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I guess we can't say On Her Majesty's Secret Service anymore. That's weird." And I had this like whole realization of like, Queen Elizabeth was queen like right after the Casino Royale book came out, up till like now,
Well, that's
recently.
true.
So it's like Bond's entire history is Majesty's. So, and I just dropped the box, but that's okay. Yeah, no, this is also, it's one of those movies where I think because it's got such a weird history, but has been reclaimed by Bond fans, it's one that like I struggle to show people. So it's like whenever I show it to somebody, they're like, that really sucked. Like, that's the Bond movie you chose to pick. But like you said, Cap, I think they do a really good job just like nailing down Fleming's work in that more than some of the other movies. And
just close your eyes and listen to the script. It's a damn good script.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, don't close your eyes. I mean, there's good cinematography in it, but you know what I mean. Like, I don't think he's as bad as people say he is, but it's also because he's got decent material to work with.
No, and I think Lazenby maybe could have gotten better in a second film too. Like, I don't think he's unsalvageable as a Bond.
Mikura says it's becoming the most well-regarded, or one of the more well-regarded Bond movies now. Which
among Bond fans, I've started to hear that like over the last probably 10 years, it's kind of been reclaimed.
That's cool.
But yeah, I think
I
it's
was
wonderful.
shocked by it and how tragic that ending is. I need to see that again.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful.
But
It's
it was
a massive shame that it's this great cliffhanger that is then never really followed up on because people hated that movie.
yeah. That gotta be when I watched it, and I wasn't expecting anything. Like I said, I said, I don't know. I was like, this is gonna suck, and then I felt things.
Yeah. And it's the only movie where you can see James Bond get genuinely scared by a stuffed bear. That's not standing in for a real bear. It's just him walking into a stuffed bear.
I forgot about that. I gotta watch that
And
again.
also, We've Got All the Time in the World is like really the original song for that movie as well.
Yeah, and it's great.
And it's interesting how like especially the later Craig era is just kind of strip mining that movie really for a lot of its emotional.
Well, 100%. Yeah, the last two were really like nail down on Her Majesty's, and even the main theme, because like you said, All the Time in the World is basically the Bond theme for that movie, but in the intro they play just a new theme, and that also has been getting more love over the last maybe like 5 or 10 years.
It's really cool. Like
It's
like
yeah,
a
it's
more
nice.
march. It's like a march. So cool.
Yeah, no, it's great. You see that come up now and then as like an alternative to doing the Bond theme, like for trailers especially.
That so far
yeah.
is the biggest surprise for me on your list.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I figured that one was kind of obligatory.
I did
but
not see that coming.
I love it.
I don't know if you and I have ever had a conversation about that movie. We probably have, but like I didn't know you liked it well enough to actually put it in the top 100. I'm also wondering how many more Bond movies will be on the list. He's gonna say yes.
I actually don't remember offhand.
There's got to be at least one or two more, I would assume.
Probably.
He did one from every era. There's at least 5. We got another couple of super chats to put something on request. I don't want this to turn into a big thing tonight where we take like 6 or 7 of these because I'm telling you, you're gonna have to wait a bit. But I really appreciate you guys. Cut Your Flesh on my teeth is back, Austin, and that really has me wondering if he and Clown Funny Man are the same person, because we had this question last night because they both are names I don't know and left super chats very close to each other or left comments close to each other, and it's just kind of surprising that they're both back together. Anyway, he wants us to do Beavis and Butthead Do America, which I've never seen.
Oh, cool.
So that's on the list now, and he did it, like I said, in 2 because I said request is $15, and you can't leave a $15 super chat. So he said that, and then he left another $5 super chat and says, "Here's the rest of your money, $5, specifically $5." So we would understand the math. That is the closest to a here's $5 super chat by somebody that is not here's $5. Oh, I miss here's $5, and not just because every time he commented I got money, but that guy's wonderful. I miss him. I hope he comes back. Here's $5. If you're in the audience, you don't have to leave $5 to comment. I just want to know if you're still listening. Okay.
I just want to know that you're okay.
Yeah. he comes back. He's in dire straits. He needs $5. His new super chat is I need $5. Anyway, that would be depressing. I hope that doesn't happen. Are we to mine?
Yep.
Yes.
My 75, this falls in that category of objectively not as good as some other things that I've mentioned. But this is one of those movies that I've seen a bazillion times, and is kind of a what am I trying to say? a tradition for me. I watched maybe not every Christmas, but like most Christmases, and it's hilarious that Austin and I just had a Christmas Carol conversation recently. And as everyone knows, Austin hates A Christmas Carol, but I don't, and I had to have one, and the one I picked is the late '90s. This is gonna be the second direct to TV movie that I've got on my list. But the late '90s TV special, A Christmas Carol, starring Patrick Stewart as Ebenezer Scrooge. I go back to this one a lot. It is equal parts hokey and wonderful. Patrick Stewart is like kind of deeply miscast, at least visually. Like, you just don't see Scrooge in I think some of it is just a bald Scrooge is kind of odd. Like Scrooge is always described as having a lot of hair, and so it's a little strange to get Patrick Stewart playing that character. And I bet if he did it on stage, he'd wear a wig. But it's like Patrick Stewart's so recognizable that if, especially by that point in his career, this is during the real popular days of the TNG movies. If he is So First Contact, just directly after that. But if he is on TV or movies, he's got to be bald because, by God, he's not going to look enough like Patrick Stewart. Anyway, he's sort of visually miscast, but then it's also a very proper casting because of the reputation that Picard as a character had through TNG, especially early TNG, of hating children. And Patrick Stewart played that really well, so like it only stands to reason that at some point he would end up playing Scrooge. The production itself is a little cheap. The sets all look good. There's some really goofy special effects, and especially with one of the ghosts. I forget which. It's the one because they tried to do some stuff directly out of the novel that's very often not adapted. Although I think more recently we've, because this has been adapted 115,000 times, you have to try to go back to the source material and find things that we haven't adapted as straight. So I think we probably do some of this stuff more often. But there's that bit where one of the ghosts, Ebenezer Scrooge, takes his hat and puts over the ghost and tries to hide it. That's in the book and doesn't show up a lot in adaptations, but we did it here. So there's kind of some odd scenes that are difficult to translate to screen that we attempted in this, which I kind of appreciated. I don't recognize hardly any other actors in this movie because they're all like British TV people. But the guy who played, I'm just going from memory right now, but the guy who plays Bob Cratchit is really good, and I think really the whole supporting cast is quite good. But it's really entertaining both for like I said, the ways that Stewart gives a really convincing, wonderful dramatic performance, and then some of the just weird choices he's making. Like toward the end, like I like it earnestly and ironically. There's this thing he does at the end when you have, of course, the scene. I almost want to say classic scene, but like it's Christmas Carol, so we all know all the scenes. But the scene right at the end, after he thinks that he's been buried alive and he's gonna die by the ghost of Christmas Future, and then he gets up in his house and on Christmas morning, and he's had his big revelation and he'll be changed forever now. The way Patrick Stewart interprets that is so bizarre. He just goes into this insane coughing fit like he's about to die on the floor. It's just really strange. He goes into this crazy coughing fit, and then he comes out of it laughing, and you can tell that Patrick Stewart probably had this whole idea of like, I'm going to do a visual transformation. It's going to be like this physical thing that happens to this character, and then from then on, for the last 10 minutes of the movie, he's going to kind of play the character totally differently, and his like happy, glad it's Christmas Ebenezer Scrooge is the best I think I've seen that played. But oh my God, the transition is weird, and It's kind of crazy he was allowed to do it. It reminds me a little bit of what he did with the mind meld in Sarek. When if you've ever seen that episode in TNG, where he's got to take on Sarek's background and personality and everything, so that he can get so that Sarek can get his control, because he's kind of losing his control, and he does a similar thing in that scene that's really weird, but is not doesn't read silly in that. It reads silly here, but it kind of works. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, that's a real indulgent choice, but that's my 75. And I actually have a copy of it, which is kind of crazy because I couldn't find that for the longest time.
Well, indulgent is why we do this, right?
Well, that's true.
It's our
That's
favorite.
true. That was pretty indulgent.
All right. My 74 is one that I am sure is going to appear on, I know, one of your guys' lists in a later video. I'll be brief about it. It is The Truman Show. I want to give a shout out to Geek
I mean, I'm not
Relation
gonna say
viewer-
anything one way or another. I'll just
And
do
I've never
this.
seen it.
Yeah,
Well,
but
uh,
Austin hates Jim Carrey on principle, so even if he loved that movie, there's no chance it winds up in his top 100.
Oh,
I feel
Deny
so,
it.
okay, so,
Deny it. I dare you.
go ahead, Connor.
He can't.
So this 4K came out at the end of 2023. I hadn't seen the movie at the time, and this was around the time that Best Buy was just like really inconsistent about whether it was getting catalog titles. And so I looked around for this. I couldn't find it anywhere, and so I had to. I finally watched it, and I loved it. And like, I got to get a physical copy of that, but I couldn't find one with a slipcover. So it is one of the few naked jewel cases for a movie. So I have to address that to all of zero of the viewers who are wondering about that. But yeah, Geek Evolution viewer Matt Bat actually recommended this movie to me. I obviously heard about it my entire life.
I haven't seen
but
him in a long
few
time.
years- Yeah, I mostly kind of keep up with him on Letterboxd, because a couple of years ago I put up on Letterboxd, and then I just kind of sent you and Austin independent messages to be like, hey, recommend me movies for this year. Just recommend me like up to 3 movies, and I'll try to get around to them. And I didn't end up watching like a decent amount of those movies that people recommended. I always meant to get back to it, but one that Matt Bat recommended to me was The Truman Show. I'm like, I should finally get around to seeing this, and I loved it. There's more to say. I'm gonna let other people who may have this on their list talk about it, maybe more in depth. But until then, I'll just say,
What if it doesn't show up?
well, you know what?
Most of
You
us
know what?
know
There
that
is a great, yeah, there's a great word of advice that I'm not going to heed right now, which is if it doesn't happen now, it'll never happen. And I won't heed that advice because
He's
I
like,
have faith.
look.
Okay?
He's like, look. The only reason I even brought this up is because I'm OCD and I need everyone to know I cannot find the slipcase for this
Yeah, exactly.
movie.
Look, I can't slide anything. So, but what I will say is that it's got a great script. It's got a very good performance at the center of it. But the thing that I was really struck by, that I didn't really hear so much about this, is I think in the category of major Hollywood studio releases, this might be one of the 10 best directed films to like ever come out of that system. This is from Australian director Peter Weir, who has made an excellent film that everyone should watch called Picnic at Hanging Rock. Him and George Miller are sort of like the vanguard figureheads of the Australian New Wave throughout the 1970s. But then they came to America, and George Miller made Mad Max movies and witch movies, and then Peter Weir made some of the best Oscar bait that ever came out. So, because he made Dead Poet Society, and then he made really taking comedic actors and finding their dramatic kind of calling cards. Right, that's Robin Williams. This one has Jim Carrey, of course. but it's a little Frank Capra in terms of like it's every man against the world. You can read this premise in just a lot of different ways, trying to get off of like if you just like living an on the track life and just trying to get out of that. Is it about like man defying God? Is it about a creator learning to let their creation have a life of its own? Yes, to all. Like, and it's so skillful and great at how it handles this. But there are just like that montage. It's such a great commentary. It predates really the reality TV boom of the new millennium, and
I
that
was
even
going to say
predates Twitch
rampant
streaming.
consumerism is in there somewhere in your thematic list.
Yes, absolutely. But like it predates Twitch streaming, and that feels like super like it like
It
relevant
hits
now in a
different
way.
when you watch it now because it's so ahead of its time, and it was even ahead of its time like 10 years before, like you said, reality TV boom. And then you look at it with social media and in YouTube and stuff, and it's like we keep coming back to the Truman Show
Yeah.
historically.
I want to watch every Peter Weir film. I've seen Picnic at Hanging Rock. That rocks. I saw The Way Back, which is okay. That was his last movie. But I never saw Master and Commander. I guess I have seen Dead Poet Society, but that was when I was in high school, so it's been a very long time. But yeah, no, an excellent film. I want to say there are two or three real standout directing moments, and that is the flashback where we catch up on Truman falling in love with someone who's effectively just an extra, and the way they frame that as an in-universe like flashback montage while he's asleep, it kind of like feels like a dream as well. Like it's a great way of kind of splitting the difference between how that character sees her and how the audience has been made to see her through the producers. And you're watching it in a film, and like it's so skillful, and it captures the immediacy of like young love. It's really great. And then the other part is where he is sitting on a beach, and then something malfunctions, and it is just raining on him. And then the producers realize they screw up, and then it just completely starts raining around him. Um, and so at first, when it's just raining above him, he thinks it's like a magical moment. He's like running around, and the rain is following him around. And then the rest of the rain comes. One of the most amazing visual tricks in the movie. It's so understated, but like even when all of the rain is coming down, you can still see a little extra concentration where that initial rainfall was coming down above him. Like, I don't know how they did that. It looked amazing. And it really does capture the kind of joyous feeling that this movie can get, and also the sadness that's kind of there that he is, but it's sad for you because you know that he's unaware of what's really going on. But then also when he starts to wake up, he can sort of have the power where he's like stopping traffic, and like he's like walking through like a rotating door. There's the lens selection that's a really nerdy thing to compliment, but the lensing in this movie is so incredible. Like I loved this movie. And it's got a great script. It's got a great performance at the heart of it. A few great performances because Ed Harris rightfully got nominated for Best Supporting Actor for this movie. And yeah, and I could go on forever, but I'm sure there will be more time to talk about this movie. But The Truman Show.
You don't know.
I don't know, but I'm going on faith here.
Yeah, I want to say more things about it too, but I won't.
Interesting choice there, Cap.
That movie's great. Hey, I'm not saying it's there or not. I mean, there's movies I love that are not on my list. You don't know. Okay, Austin, your turn, sir. I'm not going to do the thumbs just because it's funny to make Connor wonder. Although it's not as funny as when I thought he wasn't going to say anything about the movie at all. It would have been so great if he was just like, I have a slipcase, your turn, Austin, and then it never came up again.
That would be beautiful. Mine segues perfectly in that mine is also directed by a great director who was very thorough in his shot composition and lens choice. But first,
What is this? You know, we all like Scream, right?
Yeah, no, we all love Scream. No, so my dad every now and then will email me news articles that he thinks that I'll find interesting. And last week when we did the last part of this, it was the same day, and I actually had to check to see if it was coming up that night, but it wasn't. It was tonight, and he sent me this article and he's like, "You need to read this. This is about this crazy director. You'll never believe this guy exists." And I was like, "Oh, like what is this?" Click on it. I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah." Now I'm in an awkward position of do I admit to my dad that not only do I like this director, but one of his films makes my top 100, and that is, of course, Pink Flamingos. uh,
What is that?
Oh
well,
God, Kath.
well, as it says right here, it is an exercise in poor taste. Pink
You could make
Flamingos is
that the
exactly that.
the subtitle of Austin's life.
I agree. Yeah. Uh,
It's gonna be the
this
name
is
of your
also
autobiography.
and this is also a movie that is referenced in an Alvin and the Chipmunks movie. Alvin from Alvin and the Chipmunks has seen Pink Flamingos. But yeah. This is a movie where Divine and her son are the most disgusting, depraved people on the planet. That's what they're known for, and they want to make sure everybody knows that. And then the villains come in and they're like, "We're going to become the most disgusting people on the planet," and that now Divine has to prove that, God damn it, she is the most disgusting person to exist. And every single moment in this movie is baffling in exactly the correct ways. It's wonderful. It's super entertaining. It is shot entirely on a potato. It's it's fantastic. I love everything from the Eggman to this part where Divine has sex on the couch with her son, and then the villains come back, sit on the couch, and the couch throws them off of it like itself, like the couch is alive, and they're like, "Oh, our couch has rejected us for not being disgusting enough." uh, just everything is beautiful. Divine gives a speech about her politics and how she believes that we need to start committing cannibalism. Uh, Pure divinity. I'll also throw out his film before this. So I was going through John Waters' filmography. I need to get back to it. But his film before this, Multiple Maniacs, has the most bizarre scene I've ever seen in a movie, and it like lives rent free in my head. Where that is a completely straight, movie. There's like nothing supernatural or crazy, and then there's just one scene where people die, and then a giant lobster walks into the scene and has sex with Divine, and then leaves, and it's never addressed again. And it's like that. That just happened. John Waters is a beautiful person. Um, so I eventually did tell my dad, like, yes, I've seen some of John Waters' movies. He's very fascinating, which then led to him going, "Oh, cool! On your recommendation, I'm gonna go watch some of his movies." And I was like, "I need to shut this down right now." So I described to him the part where two characters have sex while holding a live chicken, and its claws are like very clearly cutting the actors while they're doing it, and it's very awkward and crazy. It's Pink Flamingos. Alvin and the Chipmunks have seen this.
I'm never gonna forget seeing. So I watched. That would have been Alvin and the Chipmunks 5. That's the road chip, and
Yeah.
I saw that in the theater. And for context, they're on a plane riding first class or whatever, and then John Waters is also in first class, and he's like, I rode first class with the Chipettes, and let me tell you, they were ladies. And then Alvin says, "Hey, I've seen Pink Flamingos. Don't you act like you're better than me." I couldn't believe what I was watching.
That movie's beautiful for A, having that scene, and B, having the balls to release the same day as The Force Awakens.
Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful stuff.
I have not seen Pink Flamingos, but the Criterion Collection sale at Barnes and Noble is wrapping up this weekend. And over this month, I was sure to purchase every John Waters film in the Criterion Collection. There's like 5 of them. So I will be going through these movies soon, Austin, on
Hell
your
yeah.
recommendation. I'm going off of Austin's recommendation, everybody.
You're gonna fly to Canada just to have like a marathon with my dad and be like, these are the movies that your son really likes. He really likes this lobster scene. Pay attention.
There's zero chance I ever watched that.
No, the ending of Pink Flamingos might be like the most Cap must never see this. Like
That's why I didn't even bring it up. I was like, I'll save Cap from that.
I love how you're like on Austin's recommendation. He's only recommending that to select people. He's not actually
No.
recommending it to the room.
Go to the old age home where your grandparents live and say, "Grandparents, we are watching Pink Flamingos. That's gonna be a great time."
Well, my grandparents are all dead, and that's probably a mercy for them if I don't have to show them that film.
And good luck to you
Anyway.
if they say, "Oh, I love that movie. I've seen it before."
Is it my turn?
Yep.
yes.
Connor, I could not be more shocked that you put The Truman Show at your number 74 because of the way it lines up with my 74. Because my 74 also stars Jim Carrey. Is not The Truman Show. I still won't let you know if I'm still not going to tell you if that's on the list or not. My number 6, and I don't have a copy of it, or I couldn't find it. I thought I had one in the house somewhere. It was not in my alphabet, so I'm not sure if I own a copy of this. But my 74 is another. I don't want to say guilty pleasure. I think this is a good movie. I also think I picked other things earlier in the list that are probably better than this movie. But it's one of those that kind of grabbed me at the right age, like a lot of Jim Carrey in the 90s. So I'm going to admit, I don't think it holds up quite as well as I want it to from when it first came out. Boy, it's got those couple of scenes that still make me laugh real hard. My 74 is Liar Liar, which is, of course, the first in the Liar Liar thematic trilogy, which begins with Liar Liar and then goes to Bruce Almighty and then goes to Yes Man. And one could argue that The Mask is actually the first of those, and I count it as like if these were comics, it's like a number 0 or something, because even that movie has sort of the formula of here's a supernatural conceit with this kind of impossible MacGuffin that teaches a character this important life lesson where he's got like a clear kind of obvious character arc that's really. I think all of those things are kind of looking at stuff like Groundhog Day, and even that's not the first of these, because I would argue that the formula probably kind of starts with It's a Wonderful Life in its way, but the idea that there's this big game changing kind of supernatural thing where a character is for a limited time going to be saddled with either a limiting rule or a power, or in the case of The Mask, a power giving artifact. I guess and then like I said, sort of like with Groundhog Day, you'll get to the end and that person will learn how to be nicer to people and be a better person. With Yes Man, it's not a supernatural thing, and it's almost the inversion of that formula, where it's about a character who is too nice to people and has to learn to kind of put himself first in a way. But all the beats are still kind of there, and even though it's not a supernatural conceit, it's still this idea of, like with Liar Liar, there's this rule that you're saddled with. It's just self-imposed in that case. He's chosen to do that. But anyway, Liar Liar still makes my list, mostly for like I said, big, just really funny scenes that always stick with me, like Royal Blue, which I still hear people quote. That's probably in like the top 3 or 5 Jim Carrey quotes that to this day still comes up. This pin is royal blue, and then there's the beating the crap out of himself in a bathroom scene, which is funny because this is neither here nor there. But I never put this together. On the trip I just took with Jason, I showed him The Cable Guy because he hadn't seen it, and we went to Medieval Times. And so I was like, well, we can't go to Medieval Times and not watch Cable Guy if you've never seen The Cable Guy. So we went back to our hotel room. We watched The Cable Guy, and he beats the crap out of a guy in a bathroom in that movie. And then a couple of years later, they do the same gag, but he's beating himself up. And I was like, I wonder if that was on purpose. Like, there's no way Jim Carrey's making Liar Liar and not thinking, I just did this. Anyway, I just hadn't really put that together before. It was kind of odd. But, it's in that kind of group of kind of sappy family films in the 90s. Like, some of them were Jim Carrey vehicles, some of them were Robin Williams vehicles. I'd put Mrs. Doubtfire on that list. This particular movie has maybe a little bit more of an edge over some of the others, where it begins and ends pretty sappy, but like it goes to some somewhat kind of riskier, more adult places in the middle, which I appreciate. And like, it really oversimplifies, of course, the like what lawyers are and what they do, just distilling it down to like all lawyers are bad and they all lie to people, just to kind of drive the point home. And so there's some, like, I can't even call it satire. It's just like making the whole thing so obvious and overly simplified just to make the point it's making. But it kind of works for the like goofy heightened thing that it's doing. And he's got a good dynamic with the kid in that movie. So there's some like real honest to God heartfelt stuff in it. I really like the realization that he has at the end, where he's had to lie, or he's not been able to lie for a whole 24 hours, and he's not sure, because he's so used to telling half-truths and untruths, whether he actually loves his son or not. And you get to the end, and he thinks he's still under the lying rule, and he's not. But he says he loves his son, and he's excited that that's actually true. But even though he's off of that, like, you can tell that it's true. Like, it's a little sappy, but it works. But it's like, next to The Mask, I think it's the best Jim Carrey screwball comedy, and that's why it's on my list.
I saw Liar Liar probably 3 or 4 times when I was like 6 years old, maybe 5. It was on TV all the time, and my mom loved Jim Carrey back in the day. So I have fond memories. The thing I remember about that movie is like the claw, like, and that whole business.
And I like that as a
I did
device to show you how like pathetic and uncool the would-be stepdad is.
Yeah, it's been way too long since I've seen that. Every once in a while, that'll pop into my head. I'm like, I gotta give that one like another spin if they put it out on disc, So,
And it's funny because if The Mask counts in that kind of formula I'm talking about, they do get, like, they're all 4 of those movies are good. Yes Man is kind of weak in comparison, but it's funny that they all kind of like descend in quality. Like, even though I like them all, like, The Mask is the best of those, and then Liar Liar is like good, but not quite as good as The Mask, and then Bruce Almighty, not quite as good as Liar Liar. Like, they drop just a little bit as it goes along.
It should be a quadrilogy, because then Yes Man is both the end and beginning of one, and then it's also Peyton Reed's first superhero movie.
He goes Yes Man to Ant-Man.
Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking about that. I forgot he did that.
Yep.
And that's the one
And
of those
then
I've
it led
seen.
to Quantumania.
Yay! That's the one of those I've seen the least. And saw real late. Like I didn't go to Yes Man in the theater. I think all three of the others I did. Anyway,
I remember. Yeah, I remember. I saw. I was alive and conscious for and have like memory of Bruce Almighty coming out. That was like the biggest movie in my life when I was like a kid, where I was like, everyone is talking about this. I'm seeing advertisements everywhere, and I remember, like, it was like so like I don't know, it was around for so long that I remember when it finally came out on video and we could just like rent it and watch it. It felt like it wasn't like, oh, it's kind of old hat, everyone's seen it already. It was like still like super popular, and so yeah, I that was I liked Bruce Almighty. That was a childhood favorite of mine.
yeah, it was pretty big, and it was really his last shot at doing that whole screwball comedy thing before he just seemed a little too old for it. In my opinion, I was working at a movie theater when that came out, so I saw it a bunch of times.
What's the difference in terms of years between Bruce Almighty and Yes Man? Because isn't Yes Man like 90 or like a '09 or something?
No. Yeah, Yes Man is it '07 or '08? I'll look it up.
Okay. Because yeah, I remember
Yeah,
when
it's
Yes Man
'08.
was.
Um, so
Okay.
so first of all, even though there's only 5 years in between, I think that is a 5 years where he ages quite a bit in the face. And secondly, I buy the age difference if there is one with him and his love interest in Bruce Almighty. I do not buy it in Yes Man. So like the bigger issue with it is they're pretending like he's still 29 or 30 in that movie, and I think all of the others he's playing the age that he actually is.
Yeah, well, in Bruce Almighty, it's like his love interest is Jennifer
Jennifer
Aniston, who had
Aniston.
like been famous for like probably the same amount of time that Jim Carrey had been famous, or at least similar. So like the audience is like familiar with her in the way they're probably familiar with him.
Yeah.
And so Louis Deschanel and Yes Man had not really been in a lot of things at that time, so it probably did feel a little weird, at least for
Well,
like an audience
and
member.
I don't know how old she was when they made that, but she looks and acts like 21 to me in that movie. Like she feels half his age. I'm not saying she is. I don't know. I'd have to look it up, but I'm just saying when I'm watching that movie, I'm not buying it because there's never an acknowledgement of an age difference, and it's not that they're pretending like she's the same age he is that they're pretending like he's younger than he is.
Always a little sad, right?
Yeah, I'm like just right apart for him that works, and even still, like I don't know that the kind of shenanigans he's doing in Liar Liar really work when you're like mid 40s pushing 50, or however old he is at that point. I'm really just saying what he looks like in that movie. But he's not. I it's not as farcical and like has as much of the slapstick stuff as some of those early ones. So it's for those kinds of comedies, it's a little bit more sober than like a Liar Liar.
Hmm.
So like I'll give it that, but they just needed to acknowledge his age in that. Slipmaker just put in a comment and says this series made me do an audit trying to find every movie I've ever seen. That's tough. Because you know you're going to skip over things that you've seen and you just don't remember you've seen them. Like the synopsis doesn't come to you. And he says, and I realized I've only seen about 500 to 600 movies, but I sincerely hope one of my top 5 Galaxy Quest will appear. Well, you'll just have to see.
For Cap, I've
Yeah,
never seen it.
I also have never seen Galaxy Quest because I want to watch through all of Star Trek before I see Galaxy Quest, but I own it, and I had a housewarming party over the weekend, and one of the things I was doing is like as people would leave, like I threw movies on the TV and it was just on mute, and one of my friends was leaving as like one of the movies was over. I'm like, hey, you want to go grab a movie to throw on the TV? And he picked Galaxy Quest, so we watched Galaxy Quest on mute periodically. So I have recent history with that movie.
You don't need to see all of Star Trek to watch Galaxy Quest.
I'll watch it, whenever came out, I'll watch it relative to the other Star Trek
I think you
shows.
need all 3 seasons of Picard and
No,
Discovery
stop!
and
Stop talking!
Well, I'm gonna wait for Strange New Worlds to be over because that's like a prequel, right? So I
Yeah.
gotta be familiar with that before I see Galaxy.
before you
so-
start TOS, I agree.
Well, yeah,
Ugh.
yes, thank you.
Which
You're
means you
right,
also have
you're
to
right.
start. You could start with Discovery right now because technically that leads into Strange New Worlds. Because by the time you're done
Oh,
Discovery,
okay, yeah.
that'll probably be over.
Okay, but what's
Isn't there
hilarious
like a-
about that is that if you did the nonsense you're talking about where none of this would make any sense at all, what you would have to do is watch Discovery, watch the first half of that, and then all of Star Trek, and then come back to Discovery. Because at the end of the second season, they fling the ship to the 31st century, and the rest of the show happens after everything else. So you would have to bookend it with Discovery.
That just means you're bookending with quality.
Hey, yeah.
This is Mir Austin. Everything he says is like opposite right now.
No, me am normal.
Braden says
Bizarro.
you're causing me
The Bizarro
physical
gets.
pain. You really are causing me physical pain right now. Okay, let's go to number 73, Connor.
Okay, number 73. I hit one of my guys. He's one of my guys. I can't not reference him. But this is going to be the first David Lynch movie on my list, and that is his 1990 Palme d'Or winner at the Cannes Film Festival. Kind of a controversial win, but it was Wild at Heart, starring Nicolas Cage and Laura Dern. I did not know what to
Didn't
make
know
of this
they
movie
were
when I
ever
first
in a
watched
movie together.
They are, and look, we can thank David Lynch for a lot of things. He basically, I mean, Laura Dern is like the child of two somewhat famous and very successful actors. She was probably always going to be an actress, but he kind of gave her her big break. He discovered Naomi Watts. He discovered Kyle MacLachlan effectively. He also gave us Nicolas Cage doing an Elvis impression for an entire movie. So this is a strange movie. The first time I saw it, I didn't really know what to make of it. But I've really kind of developed like an appreciation for it. And last year, shortly after Mr. Lynch died, I went to a film festival where they showed this as a midnight screening. And that was like, it was the first time I'd ever seen Wild at Heart in the theater. And it was the best viewing I have ever had of it. The best way I can describe Wild at Heart is I'm going to compare it to another movie that was disqualified from this list, and that is Hellboy 2: The Golden Army. These are very different movies, but they are similar to me in one very specific way, which is so David Lynch, he's coming up, he makes his midnight movie, he gets Mel Brooks gives him a big break with The Elephant Man. He goes and makes Dune. That kind of collapses, and then but because of a deal he's able to make Blue Velvet, which gets him kind of back on track. He starts doing Twin Peaks, which becomes a very big sensation, and in the middle of doing the Twin Peaks pilot and the Twin Peaks series, he goes and shoots Wild at Heart. So he is like, and then that wins the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival, which is their highest prize. And so like while he's in the middle of this, he is just constantly like stimulate like creatively stimulated, and he was probably like he could have been burnt out, but he was probably just like writing a series of successes to where similar to something like Hellboy 2, where Del Toro has his big break and then a failure, um, and then comes back with like Pan's Labyrinth, and that puts him at the top of the world. Hellboy is successful, so he's able to have like the one for him and the one for them are both working, and he's heavily involved, emotionally in both of those. And then he's able to like make Hellboy 2 the one for them into one for him as well. And what you have with Hellboy 2 and Wild at Heart are these creatives who are finally having their moment in the sun again before another like kind of fall down a cliff before they rise again. But they are works that are pure joy, where they are able to just kind of at kind of that early peak in their career get away with doing whatever they want, and it's informing so many of the decisions. And make no mistake, Wild at Heart could be called tonal whiplash the movie it is just hitting you with every idea that is coming to all of their heads at once, and like it is like throwing the kitchen sink. But there is something so joyous and blissful. Like once you finally get attuned to it, for me, it would took a few viewings and several years to really get it. But like, um, yeah, it's basically a remake of The Wizard of Oz. The basic setup is Sailor Ripley, who is Nicolas Cage, and Lula Fortune, who is Laura Dern. They are young people in love. She is the daughter of a gangster who was murdered, and her mom is an overbearing witch who may or may not have had something to do with the death of her husband and Laura Dern's dad. And Sailor Ripley was technically involved in his crime operation, but he's kind of a bad boy. He wears a snakeskin jacket that he reminds you over and over again is symbolic of his belief in personal freedom and a symbol of his individuality. But because he may know more about the death of her dad than he, lets on, uh, Lula's mom wants him dead and doesn't want her having anything to do with him, and she is doing everything she can to keep the two of them apart. But then he breaks parole. The two of them get in his car and they're going to go to California, and it's basically a Wizard of Oz type thing. Um, Willem Dafoe shows up as one of his most memorable scumbag performances, but like the entire supporting cast of Twin Peaks is there because he's shooting it between the pilot and the series. Um, and it has one of my absolute favorite scenes in any movie, which is where uh, the dream logic of this world really just shows its hand. Where they're at a rock club where a metal band is performing, and because somebody rubs up against Lula, Sailor has like control over the world, and he stops the music. He beats the guy up, and then he serenades her with Elvis. There's nothing like it. It's a strange movie. It's different even from David Lynch's other movies. It's very rock and roll. It's very kind of out there and very violent. But I've really grown to love this movie, and um, I would not recommend anybody start David Lynch with this movie, but it is the first one that is appearing on this list from me. So, Wild at Heart.
I had the strangest like segue from that. So when Cap was talking about Yes Man and the whole like he's too old to be doing this, all I could think of was before coming on, I was watching an episode of Spider Noir, which 100% Nicolas Cage is not playing a 60-year-old Spider-Man, and it just never addresses that he's clearly an old man. And then you segued into a Nicolas Cage movie, so I was like, "Oh, that's cool."
Wow, imagine that. It is
Uh,
probably my favorite Nicolas Cage performance. He's very, very good in it. And he's doing an Elvis impression the whole time. And it's not like you eventually just get used to it and it's not ridiculous.
it's beautiful. But he does love Elvis to the point where he collected everything Elvis and then married Elvis's daughter.
What is it
That's
about Elvis
true.
infecting people? Because like the guy who played Elvis in the Elvis biopic can't get rid of the voice. He's like, I'm
He
just stuck with
became
this voice.
Elvis.
Yeah. The ghost of Elvis possesses all.
Yeah, exactly. Well, even like in Ghost Rider, he like sometimes is doing an Elvis impression, but not always.
Connor, I love that you picked a movie that you think requires a prerequisite, where you were like, "This is on my list. Don't watch this if you haven't seen other movies by this director."
Yeah.
I think that makes
Well,
sense.
No,
Yeah.
it does.
if you start with it, you might really like it. But none of his other movies are going to be like this, and that's
Mhm.
kind of cool. I do know some people where their dads really like this, and they'd never seen a David Lynch movie before, and they watched it. They were like, "I love this movie." Um, but I remember I was like in my first real big David Lynch kick back in like 2017 when I watched Wild at Heart for the first time, and I kind of didn't really care for it. So I don't know. All of his projects kind of have a life of their own, and that's I think pretty cool.
Well, it's like imagine you like fall in love with Straight Story, and then you're like, "I got to see everything this director made."
He made another road trip movie. It
That's
is not rated G.
nothing like that road trip movie.
It's like I really loved that cameo in that Alvin and the Chipmunks movie. I'm gonna go check out a movie that guy made.
Mom, what's pink flamingos?
I don't know, son. We better find out.
Austin, what's your next movie?
My 73 is unfortunately one I don't own. And it's the first movie I was like, I'm doing this for Spooky Mania last year, and then went, wait a minute, that's a terrible movie for a blind commentary. I should not do that. Cap should watch this on his own. I don't want to ruin it for him. It's The Exorcist 3.
Oh, cool.
Which
Yeah,
is
I should finally sit down and watch that.
which is an amazing movie, and it also helps that it, unlike every other Exorcist sequel, it's not, hey, The Exorcist was cool, let's do that again. And is instead William Peter Blatty, who of course wrote the book of the original Exorcist and was the writer for the movie. And then he wrote another book called Legion, and Exorcist 3 is an adaptation of that. And it just takes one of the side characters, the cop from the original Exorcist, and it's an entire movie about him. But he's now played by George C. Scott, and he's wonderful. And it's about a serial killer that's killing people, but it's possibly supernatural, and we don't know what's going on with that. And Brad Dourif gives like an amazing, insane performance in it, and is one of those performances where he's probably in it for like 10 minutes, but he like completely steals the movie. Uh, like he's one of the big things you always remember about it. It also has the if not the greatest, in the top 3 greatest jump scares of all time, which I won't spoil, but it's amazing. And when you're watching it the first time, like it comes so out of nowhere. It's very similar to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre one, where you first see Leatherface in that sense, where it really just catches you off guard. So you're like, oh, okay. That's amazing. And Danaverse just asked if I've seen the reconstructed director's cut. I have. I'm not really sure which I prefer. So that's a movie where they reshot the ending, and the ending is a lot bigger. But I kind of understand why they reshot it. Like, I think it makes sense. It does have a really funny, like, it's almost out of a superhero movie shot where it's like an exorcist walks in. It's like really dramatic, and he's got the book, and it's like, he's gonna come save the day. Whereas the original is much smaller and personal, but I do feel like the movie kind of needed something a little bigger than what the original ending was. But I like both, so it's not like a huge deal. But yeah, I think so. It's hard to compare because they're very different movies. But like, I think you could easily like this one over The Exorcist. Now, whether The Exorcist shows up on my list, I don't know. But
I do.
they're both excellent films at the end of the day that do everything that they're doing completely flawlessly.
The further we get into this, the more callable all of our lists will be. Well, that hasn't come up yet, so I know it's coming. Austin, that movie...
You never know. You didn't have Thanos in your top 50 Marvel characters, Cap.
That's because I forgot briefly that he existed, even though he's one of my favorite villains. I don't know what was happening. Why do you always have to bring that back? Austin, that movie has something oddly in common, bear with me for a second, with the first movie I brought up tonight, because George C. Scott was also a TV movie Ebenezer Scrooge.
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
Which is the other great Christmas Carol movie. And they were both on television.
Now we need to combine all 3 of these, and we need an Exorcist movie with Nicolas Cage. So we have some sort of connection to all 3 of our picks.
Perfect.
Tonight. He would be a great priest yelling at a demon, but if he was also possessed by a demon, it'd be great.
He could do both, yeah. Flanagan, what are you doing? Like, Cast him in the movie you're making.
Chop, let's go.
Exactly.
Well, Austin, interestingly, my 73. Are you done talking about Exorcist 3?
Oh yeah.
My 73 is also a movie that is a good contender for Spooky Mania, and I've been kicking around putting it on that list this year. I chose Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, which I wonder if that will show up on either of your lists. I would imagine Austin will probably have it somewhere, but I guess we'll find out. I'll get the obvious stuff out of the way. The Shining does not make as much sense as I kind of wish it did compared to the book, and yet I love it anyway, and I kind of, at this point, don't really care. Like, I was in that place for a while of, here's all the stuff that doesn't add up at the end, and it's that typical Kubrick thing of, it's kind of more about the general ideas and how it makes you feel at the end of the day, and all of that. There's still, like, one major thing with that kind of irks me, and it's not even I don't fully understand the last image of the movie, which I've always complained about, but I find kind of amusing now, the more I go back to it. But no, I don't like that the setup remains from the book about the boiler room, and then we don't blow up the hotel. Like, it just doesn't make sense that you're going to emphasize this potential ticking time bomb and then completely drop that, and it never amounts to anything by the end. That's the one bit that I wish they did just kind of left. If they never mentioned the damn boiler room, it would be kind of easier to swallow that whole thing. But I'm picking it for all of the obvious reasons that it's as influential of a movie as it is, and that everybody else loves it. I'm a big Nicholson fan, and it's obviously one of his great performances. I love the slow descent into madness with him. The cinematography obviously is insane. One of the things that's most impressive to me about The Shining is that it all takes place basically in one location, but there's a lot of variation in locale anyway, where like it's a very large building, and we get a lot of mileage out of the various set pieces inside the place, and in that way it kind of watches a little bit like a haunted house film. I guess a lot like a haunted house film, given the fact that it is haunted, and there are spirits in it that are chasing people and stuff. But it's kind of interesting that it gives you that that feeling of isolation, and of what's the word I'm looking for? Claustrophobia. But like it is a large place. It's just that it's out in the middle of winter, and the phones aren't working, and you can't leave the place. And so no matter how big that place is, you still feel closed in. And especially when if you're not Jack Nicholson, but his family, and your father or your husband is trying to kill you. But just the variation of scenery is really cool, and impressive. We finally get outside of the place in the third act with the hedge maze, which is at this point probably at least one of my favorite third acts in anything, or I shouldn't say third act, but like climax. I always get real jazzed when you get to the chase in the hedge maze. And I'm bringing that up because I feel like it doesn't get talked about enough in favor of the hallway stuff in the bathtub, and the two creepy girls with the kid on the tricycle, and in the blood and all of that. We gotta give more love to the hedge maze. But The Simpsons
that climax
is
the backbone for James Wan's entire career.
Is it?
In like every movie he's worked on.
Well, I'm not a big horror guy, so I've not seen much of his stuff. But like,
But you
but
see
I
me freak out in that DCEU mania watching Aquaman 2 for the first time when Patrick Wilson gets possessed and starts limping towards Mira, and I'm like, God damn it, James Wan, you even threw it in Aquaman.
that's funny. But I feel like in discussions of this movie, that climax doesn't come up as much as some other stuff. But anyway, but yeah,
No,
That's also a. Sorry, go ahead, Connor.
no,
Go
you're
ahead.
good.
no. Go ahead, Austin.
Oh, I was just gonna say that movie's also a great example of the like liminal space thing, like just
Well, that's
how
true.
we do the hotel, and like just how none of the like that hotel doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it just
Where
doesn't
there's
add
like
up.
yeah, where like there's the part where Danny's going around on the tricycle, and like if you were to map it out, he's like going through spots that shouldn't exist, and the manager's office has a window with like outside in the background, but it's like right directly in the middle of the hotel, so there would be no window there to outside. Like it's fantastic.
Yeah,
Like
because
their
it does feel
quarters, it's like
intentional. Where like that place
Oh,
is
100%.
impossible.
Yeah,
is. And like their quarters where they lived, like you can see doors down the hallway that would lead to rooms, but then they go inside their room and like it goes in the direction where like another room should be. Where like
yeah.
yeah, like and that's really cool. It's great set design. I was gonna say it's not on my list. I did heavily consider it. I really like that movie. I think Shelley Duvall gives a very like I think she's been reclaimed as giving a great performance in that
Yeah.
movie. Growing up, I had always heard that she's the weak link. She got nominated for a Razzie. No one likes her. She's weird and ugly, and like no one likes that her performance in that movie. And I was like, she's awesome in this movie, and I've heard
Yeah.
more people wake up to that. But Jack
Yeah, I
Nicholson's
agree.
great, and I think one of the things that's a little underappreciated about The Shining is that it's a funny movie. Like Kubrick does put gags in it that are funny, like all that ominous build up to Wednesday.
Yeah.
It's funny.
I saw that for the first time. I think I was 8 years old, and I didn't even understand that it like was a horror movie. I was like, this is like the funniest movie I've ever seen. And like as an adult, I'm like, okay, no, I get the scary stuff, but like, and that's not even me being like, oh, as a child, I watched this. I'm like, this is so poorly made or whatever. Like, I agree, Connor. Like, there's so many just good gags, like in terms of editing.
No,
in
it
that
does. It does
movie.
work on both levels.
Yeah, absolutely. The funniest thing to me as a child was the Winnie the Pooh blowjob scene, which as an adult, I'm like, that is a very creepy image. As a child, that's hysterically funny.
You're a different kind of child than me, I guess, Austin. No, I don't know. I also saw this for the first time kind of late. Like I probably had seen, a couple of scenes here and there, but hadn't watched it front to back until I don't know, maybe late 2000s, early 2010s. I had probably started the channel before I finally watched it.
Question: have you
Yeah,
seen Doctor Sleep?
I still haven't. I just keep forgetting to do it.
Because I'm shocked that when you said that this was on your list, I was very surprised because I think
Oh,
I just associate with you because you said you for a while you kind of were in this place with it where you appreciate the experience of it, but you can't really reckon it with like as an adaptation, and so I've always just associated that as like your opinion on it, and so like seeing it here, I'm like, oh, it's really cool that you kind of have had this evolution with it. That being said, I really want to know what you think of Doctor Sleep. I
So
don't.
I will say, so I have a list of Spooky Mania films, and several of them just have asterisks. Like, if Cat picks this, you have to pick this. You have
mhm.
no choice. You have to pick this. Uh, I have Doctor Sleep on mine as if Cat picks The Shining, you have to pick Doctor Sleep.
Oh, okay.
Uh, so
I don't know how well that would work with us talking over it, but
You should probably just lock into it the first time, but
that's what I'd
yeah.
figure. Yeah, a lot of how I pick stuff on a list like this is I'm looking at things I have and things I've seen, and I'm going, like, how often do I find myself wanting to watch that, or do I feel like watching it right now? And so, like, I don't know if The Shining would show up on like I think of these as objectively the 100 best stories told in films. Like I probably wouldn't do that. Um,
Mhm.
but it does wind up on the. I mean, if I'm gonna pick a horror film, it's gonna be that's gonna be in the top 5 or 10 that I would pick. And I'm also going for some variety and trying to make sure I include some horror because I'm not a big horror guy.
Certainly, yeah. I also came to it a little late. I read the book before watching the movie, and I didn't love the book the way a lot of people love the book. I read King's introduction before I read the book, where he was talking about how like there comes a point in every like author's career, usually early, where they can either just keep doing what they're doing, or they can reach and try to like push themselves, and that'll like kind of define what kind of career they're gonna have. And for him, The Shining was him reaching. And I remember reading it, and for me, a lot of the stuff towards the end wasn't really clicking with me, or thought it was a little silly. But I was like, I can see this as a young writer really pushing themselves, and I appreciated it on that level. But what I really got out of the movie is it's very similar. Like it's almost identical for the first like third of the movie to the third of the book.
Yeah,
Um, but it's a master filmmaker at kind of the height of his power, and like it's just so interesting to see that story kind of just told from these two different points in like an artist's career, and they're very different kinds of artists.
well, that's why it feels to me like
Yeah.
it's setting up stuff it's not gonna do at the end.
I have to say, I recently read Dance Macabre, which is Stephen King's like basically his on writing on just horror as a genre, and it was released right after the Shining movie came out. And there's a point where he lists, he's like, "There's not a lot of like really truly great horror films, but here's a list of them, and The Shining is on it. God damn it!" And he's like, "You know what? It's very different to my book, but it's so just artfully made that you can't deny how well done it is." And I'm like, "You have like completely backslided on that."
Yeah.
But, but no, I've always seen that difference is just they are essentially the same thing. It's just one of them is somebody writing about themselves and like flawed and like I can be better. Like yeah, I've got issues, and the other person is coming to that material and being like, oh, this is a horrible person. So Stephen King is like, screw you, Shining movie. You say I'm evil. I don't like you. But
Kind of
anyways,
good. Yeah. What are we at?
Well,
72?
we'll see if it shows up on
Yes.
Austin's list. Number 72, Connor. Got 2 more
All
left
right.
for this evening.
This is my favorite Clint Eastwood directed film. One of my favorite westerns, but it is not Unforgiven because I've only seen Unforgiven once. It is actually the first western he ever directed. It's from 1973. It's called High Plains Drifter. I don't know if either of you guys have seen this movie.
Uh-uh.
I've
Um,
not, but I've been meaning to see it just on how good that poster is.
it is a sick poster.
Yeah.
Um, and I would say if you have October viewing, and you kind of want to shake it up with like a western, add this to the list, because it is ambiguously supernatural from the get-go. The heat, like coming off the desert, sort of creates that kind of haze, and from that haze, the drifter appears, and he almost is like a phantom. Um, this is So, as a filmmaker and as a storyteller, Clint Eastwood has a long history of being an iconoclast. He really enjoys tearing down perceptions of the myth of the Old West, and he is pretty much one of the figureheads of the revisionist westerns in America from the 1970s. And goodness, so he kind of gets started. His star really blows up by playing the man with no name in 3 Sergio Leone Italian westerns. Then he comes to America, and he's doing some westerns with Don Siegel as well. But when he comes to America to direct, he makes High Plains Drifter, which is basically like the mirror universe man from Man with No Name. He shows up, he doesn't have a name, he is just the drifter, and the first thing he does is murder 3 people and force himself on a woman. And he's the hero of the story. not because the movie tries to like go, actually he's misunderstood. It's because this town he rolls into, they all have skeletons in their closet, and he spends the entire movie uncovering them like some kind of like trickster or some kind of like phantom, who can like uncover the truth about these people. Because the small town he rolls into, they seem to be made up of good people. Um, and but the town has a secret. You see, there is a band of criminals that was put away, and they are just getting out of prison conveniently around the same time, and they're coming back to this town, this band of criminals, to get revenge. The three men Clint Eastwood just killed were their protection. And now, because he has demonstrated his skill with a gun, the sheriff, who is a coward, decides, I know you just forced yourself on one of our innocent women, but I don't care. You're good with a gun, so you're useful to us for right now. And if you defend our town against like the people coming from prison, we'll give you whatever you want. And so he says, whatever I want. And he uses that whatever I want to basically do some of the most sharp and uh, vicious satire that I can think of. Like, it is a satire, but it is not a comedy. This is very much about post Watergate America, and it is a devilishly entertaining Western. Like I said, ambiguously supernatural. And at the end, he basically becomes a slasher. Like, it is basically Clint Eastwood on God mode. He is hurling an infinite supply of dynamite. He never misses any shots. Um, and it is fiendishly entertaining. It makes you feel bad for enjoying what you are looking at. And it's a kind of a prickly side of Clint Eastwood that I think a lot of people have stopped associating with him. John Wayne hated this movie when he saw it. And a lot of the old guard of Hollywood did not like it. But as a Clint Eastwood type of, like I said earlier, I've got a side of me that really enjoys a good cynical film. And this is a top tier cynical film with one of the best casting choices ever. I don't want to give it away, but it's in these flashbacks where you start to learn more about this town and who this guy may or may not be. Um, and then I will say, towards the end, there is a part where everyone is gathered up in the bar and there's a whipping that is happening outside. And that is a point where everyone in town starts to realize what is going on. And it is one of the most satisfying, like stickly, like as an audience member, you are like reveling the mischief that the Drifter is enacting on these people. It's excellent. You should watch it. Not for the faint of heart, but it's very good.
I'm completely sold. I'm like, I need to watch this movie like
Yeah,
right
I kind
now.
of want to too. That sounds great. Bag
That
says
sounds
Yeah.
fantastic.
Bag says he saw that and he said he was in or with it for almost none of the runtime until the end, and he says that it recontextualizes itself, and he liked it a lot on reflection and wants to rewatch it.
Yeah, it is. He is the man with no name from hell. That is basically like his character in High Plains Drifter. It can be unpleasant, but I'm glad, Bag, that you were able to kind of like it won you over. I'm happy that it stuck with you.
That's amazing.
That's definitely the best pitch you've given, Connor, for
Oh,
for a
thank
movie
you.
I've not seen. Where I'm like, damn, I gotta go see. You should. That speech should have been the trailer. Austin,
So mine, I'm not going to talk about a ton because this is a Spooky Mania pick for me, and I
because we did a
implore
show
the
for 4
audience.
hours last night. And he wants to go to bed.
No. I implore the audience. Do not spoil this movie for Cap. When I say it, just no spoilers. Do not say what the thing is, because we need Cap's reaction to
Look,
it.
we already did Planet of the Apes. We
Um,
know how that ends. Okay.
yeah, exactly. No, Cap. It's Beneath the Planet of the Apes, of course.
I also know how that ends.
Okay, Battle for the Planet of the Apes.
Okay,
Then.
I've never seen that.
I don't remember how that ends offhand. uh, so this is not a movie that I own, but I did crack out my sequel 4Ks. I'm waiting for it to get a 4K release, but they're funny covers, so I wanted to show them. But it is Sleepaway Camp, which to me is my Friday the 13th. I like Friday the 13th well enough, but Sleepaway Camp is very much my bag. Uh, it's basically that, but like just a movie you kind of vibe with. Like it's very hangout movie. Um, they cast real teenagers, so it really feels like being at an actual summer camp. It really captures those vibes. I will show off the sequel ones. These are not as good. These are just comedic, but I do like them. So there's that one where she's got, of course, the Freddy and Jason iconography, and then the greatest cover of all time is 3, which is just here are boobs, go watch. Uh, but Sleepaway Camp 1 is a great movie, and like I said, I will not go further into
Are
detail.
you picking that for the Mania?
Yes.
Is that why you don't want to? Did you say that and I missed it?
Yes. Yeah. No, that's 100% why. So I also implore the audience: do not spoil it before we get there.
Thank you. I'm so paying attention to everything you're saying. I'm hanging on.
So I just could have spoiled it. It would have been fine.
Do you remember like last stream or the one before where you were talking about The Fly, or Cap was talking about The Fly, and I was like, I watched that like really late at night, and I was basically asleep for it. The movie I watched directly before that with Rasco was Sleepaway Camp, and
oh, that's awesome.
The ending of that movie is seared into my brain. I can't wait to watch it again, but I want to watch it in a theater.
Yeah,
that's cool. I almost went like this, but then I realized I've only seen it once, and I didn't put it on my list.
No, I was actually thinking about you. I was like, if you haven't seen this, Connor, I feel like you really would, because you really like hangout movies, and I think this kind of has that in a slasher film, and it's really neat. But yeah, that ending is just like seared. Once you've seen that, it's never not there.
No, Braden, I'm not falling asleep. I was just reading comments and couldn't pay attention to everything Austin was saying, because we had a $4.99 super chat from Dubby, which I was trying to read and not fully understanding, but I will read it now. He says, it took the churning and churning of ideas for centuries to get to the high-level ideas spoken of on this stream. My brain is in recovery mode. Barry. What does that mean?
It's like a Flash thing.
I guess.
Is that why he's yelling Barry? I don't know what's happening. Connor, are you falling asleep?
No. I think I got it. Like.
Thanks for the super chat. Austin, did you want to say anything else about Sleepaway Camp?
No, you'll see it when we get there.
Okay. I'm excited now. I don't know if I should be excited or if I'm going to be like petrified or something, but
I honestly don't know how you'll react to it, but you cannot be spoiled.
Yeah. No, don't say anything. My next one, what are we on? 72. I'm also not going to say a whole lot about because this is an odd one to put on my list, because it's one that I either don't have a copy or I've misplaced it somewhere. I thought I had it, I couldn't find it. I get my movies in order. I thought my movies were in order, and then I keep going, I thought I had that, but I can't find it. But I chose the movie I'm about to mention because it's one that doesn't, for a long time, didn't really stick with me real well, and I didn't even, like I'd seen it when I was a kid, and I watched it maybe once or twice, was like, that's a fun enough action movie, it's fine. Every time I actually sit down and watch it, I love it while I'm watching it. And then, like, I never think about it. But then if it comes up again, I'm like, oh my god, this movie is so wonderful. And so now I finally like trained myself to go, no, Cap, you like this movie a lot. I should watch it again. It's been a while. But I chose Speed. Speed's great because it's like a one-room drama in a constant chase scene. And
it's also great because it's perfectly between action movie Keanu Reeves and dopey stoner.
Like stoner Keanu Reeves. Yeah, it's great.
And he is somehow both.
He does both at the same time. It's fantastic. And it's kind of his introduction to the big action thing. that will
Yeah.
take over his career, or a lot of it anyway. And I think his chemistry with Bullock is really good. I love how that thing is shot. It's a cool choice to have that much tension around a ticking time bomb where the majority of it takes place during the day. So it's like it's really bright and sunny, but there's just this constant sense of urgency. And then if memory serves, a lot of the third act takes place at night. I think there's a place where the sun finally goes down. If I'm remembering that right.
I think
This is
so. It's been
a
a while,
movie
but
that I
I
don't
really like
know
Speed.
that well, but I know belongs here.
And then Speed 2 Cruise Control is like on your list.
I've never seen that. And like Hopper's typecast, but like he's always a good villain.
Speed was directed by Jan de Bont, who was a longtime cinematographer. And
It was his
shot-
first directing job.
Was it?
I think.
Because I know he also he has a very long career as a cinematographer, going back even to the film Roar, which is on Austin's list.
Oh yeah. And he
I
almost
have
made Godzilla 98, which has roaring in it.
I have not seen Speed, but that is a premise that has like always piqued my interest.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great concept, and I love car chases, so it's silly that I have not seen it yet.
Well, it sounds like one of those quintessential action movies ideas that we would just be remaking and redoing in various ways over and over again. Which, like, I guess we kind of have. And maybe there's stuff like it before that, but I always think of it as like the beginning of kind of an archetype.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, there's like car chase movies before, but a lot of them are like cheapo, kind of like Roger Corman movies.
Yeah, but I'm just talking
so
about
doing
with the
something-
premise of there's a thing that has to go at a pace, and if it drops below that, this it will explode. Like I feel like we have to have done that with stuff before this. Maybe it was just I can't think of an example. Maybe it was just stuff that's not moving because it's kind of what it is. It's the don't take your thumb off the plate or don't move the
okay.
bomb away from this platform or it will blow up. Like it's taking that kind of like basic premise and putting speed on top of it. Like you gotta be moving.
Yeah.
Sort of like
there's-
the way Back to the Future got away from the stationary time machine.
Right. Yeah, you say that premise, and it's like I think of like Crank, where it's like you got to keep your adrenaline up, and you got to keep going, and that's probably looking at Speed really hard.
Oh yeah, definitely. I was also thinking of Back to the Future, just in terms of like you have to hit a certain speed,
that's
except
true.
obviously you have to then stick with it.
Yeah, and that's the thing that you're actually trying to make happen. Whereas,
Well, Hopper is the Doc Brown. He wants to make it happen.
that's true. But no, you're right. Where it's like you have to get over a certain one, as opposed to you're staying over it. That if you drop under it, that's bad.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, the other thing, this is the last thing I'll say. I just thought of this. That's cool about Speed is if you think about it. The only way you could make that movie is with meticulous storyboarding, and it's kind of like a big action cartoon.
Yeah, it's true. Kind of like I know people said that with Fury Road, where it's like a big Wile E. Coyote cartoon. Speed kind of has that. Now that you say that.
Like it's got to be difficult to formulate pardon me a story on that premise where like you buy that thing staying on the road and you'd only have so much real estate in the city to deal with, so like unless you got it going in circles and then you want to keep things moving and keep the set pieces varied. And so, like,
Yeah, it does a really good
gotta
job
be.
of that.
It does. That's got to be so tricky.
There's like one thing in it where I'm like, I don't know that it would it would go through that, but it's
I know
not
what
a
you're talking
huge
about.
deal. And like everything else is, yeah, no, I was pretty sure you would when I said it. But everything else I think is very
It's
believable.
grounded enough, yeah, and real
Yeah,
visceral. There are places where you're like, oh God, I hope it doesn't run into that. And
yeah.
how could you possibly not stall out? And I think there's a place where it's like, here comes a traffic jam. What are we gonna do?
Whoa, a traffic jam, bogus.
It's in Los Angeles, right?
I think so.
I think so. Yeah,
Oh yeah, you're gonna hit the traffic jam.
bogus.
Anyway, put that on the list of movies I don't remember well enough to feature on the list, but I know I like it well enough to be there. Okay, Connor, last one for the evening, sir.
All right, 71. I have this movie physically, but it's in a set. I don't know. Like we've all seen this movie. We all love this movie. We've
Oh, it's
done.
Scream.
Yeah, it's Scream. And
Well, we
like
all like
we've
Scream.
actually all love Scream. But it is Invasion of Astro Monster, aka Godzilla
Yes.
versus Monster Zero.
That's Jason's favorite.
Have it. Yeah, I introduced it to your son when I visited.
Oh yes, that's right.
We did a commentary on that movie
He's done
too.
a commentary on it. That was where Cap watched it for the first time. I love that movie. It's one of those things where that is very much a childhood favorite. It imprints on me, and I don't know, like so much of just like aesthetically things that I gravitate towards are kind of born there. Um, I think that like it even like taps a very specific niche um of like this period in time where Universal International and Toho were like arranging so that like American Hollywood actors could appear in these movies. So like Nick Adams is there, and I like so you can watch like the English dub, and like everyone is dubbed in English except for Nick Adams, who is just giving his Nick Adams delivery, and I love them. They're great. Uh, but it's like a space Godzilla movie, not to be confused with Godzilla versus Space Godzilla, but Godzilla goes to space. I love the spaceships. I love the wackiness of the like the alien plan. Like it's just so fun, and I think it like kind of it articulates or represents so much of what the appeal to me of Showa era of kaiju films is. Like I watched Mothra for the first time. It keeps coming up, but that film festival where I saw um something like
Joe Dante.
some yeah, but that was this year. It was the
Oh,
previous
oh,
year
I see.
where I saw Wild at Heart. The first movie I saw there was Mothra because I'd never seen it. But like, what's so fun about kaiju movies, especially when you're just like watching a bunch of like old movies like in such close proximity, is you really do start to see, no, this is why kaiju films are fun. There's something really nutty and unique about them. Mothra can find a way to incorporate some secondary side character's younger brother into the plot. Like, are they just killing time? Maybe, but it's entertaining. In the case of this, it's like there's like a weird toy that makes like an obnoxious sound effect, and like that's important to the aliens' plan because that can stop their mind control waves because they're trying like it's complete bananas. And honestly, of like a lot of those early Godzilla movies, this is one that features the least amount of Godzilla and monster action, but the plot is so entertaining that I don't even really care. And honestly, I don't really say this much about a lot. While I enjoy a lot of these movies, the characters that they come up with, they're really just there to kind of be entertaining in a plot that can just get you to 70 to 90 minutes. I will say this: I think Astronaut Fuji and Astronaut Glenn in Invasion of Astro Monster are they have a good enough rapport and a unique enough rapport. They're just kind of like they're not buddy cops, they're buddy astronauts. You could have done a sequel to this movie with no Godzilla in it, and I would have watched that. Where they just like maybe go to a different planet, and this time instead of running into King Ghidorah, there's like zombies on this planet or something.
They
I
go to
don't
the
know.
planet
Like
of the apes.
they go to the planet. Like yes, like I love those characters. I love the spaceships. I love the monster fight when it finally happens. It's so much fun. I love it, and it's that kind of madcap wackiness, that kind of pop art '60s sci-fi kitsch, distilled from the Japanese lens. That like it really does inform a lot of my taste at a young age.
The Zillions are also the greatest alien design of all time.
They're wonderful. I
Yeah.
love the part where like the controller is sitting in front of like that screen that is just like strobing like orange light. Like it's the imagery is instilled in my head.
And unfortunately, because this is a movie that's kind of weird in that I feel like it doesn't get the love it deserves. And part of that is that its inferior remake, Destroy All Monsters, gets all the love from Godzilla fans, even though this is like infinitely better.
I agree. I agree.
Connor, I really just have one question for you, Connor.
What's that?
Doesn't the fact that it's Universal make it international?
That's Mystery Science Theater, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's Mystery Science Theater, the movie, where they did the
Okay.
Silent Earth, but they released it in the theater.
That's a good one.
It's one of my favorite jokes in anything. And as soon as you said Universal International, I was like, I don't care how long I'm gonna have to wait. I'm saying that. Austin, what is your next one?
Yeah.
Sorry, I gotta ask you, that release that you held up, was that for just that one movie, or was that a big Godzilla box set?
That's the Showa era.
This is Criterion Collection Spine number 1000
Okay,
is the Godzilla Showa
that's
era.
glorious.
I'm
It is
still waiting for them
beautiful.
to put out one for the other eras, but I love my Showa era collection. It's beautiful.
Because
Yeah,
for a
this is one
second,
of those.
before I knew what it was and you pulled it out, I was like, why do you need a box set that gigantic for one film?
For
It's a
Godzilla versus
beautiful
Monster
film, yeah.
Zero, I would do it.
Now, to be fair, I have seen releases that big for a single film.
Yeah, no,
That and the
this I
same
never
collector's
thought
edition of Neverending Story that DJ has comes to mind.
it's ridiculous.
I
Like
want
it's
that thing so bad.
huge.
That thing's
Yeah,
insane.
I never thought this would ever actually happen. Just like the rights alone of like how like the Showa era gets like cut into different selections. There's like 15 of them, and like
Yeah.
bring on the Heisei era. Come on, we need it.
Yep. Especially because those tend to be the ones that are out of print at this point.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean that I don't know what black magic they used to conjure the reconstructed Japanese cut of King Kong versus Godzilla, but that's there. Never thought I'd ever see that. Like
And I
I,
still need to see it because I didn't know it was on there until you told me that.
it's on the bonus disc.
Yeah.
For like legal reasons, it can't be considered the master because Ishiro Honda destroyed the master basically. But yeah,
Yeah. No, I need to finally see that because that's a movie I think is just kind of okay, but a big part of that is the constant American interruptions. So
it's much better. I think the Japanese cut is much better.
yeah,
The reconstructed version is coming from a variety of sources, so like the quality does shift. So that's why I think they include it as a bonus feature. But
yeah.
in my opinion, it's totally worth it. They need to put out the Heisei era and the Millennium era in one box set called the Heisei era, and then I think we need to get that
Hell
done.
yeah. I agree. I've been waiting for that. I'm like, even if Criterion doesn't make it, like somebody make this, please.
Yes, please.
The
Arrow, come
Gamera
on.
ones are so nice. Like I'd be fine with it looking like that too. My number 71 is also a kitschy 60s sci-fi film. It's of course Skyfall. Uh,
I knew it wasn't going to be a kitschy 60s film, but I couldn't imagine. I didn't know what for sure he'd say. So I was still blindsided by that.
I mean, it's about the sky is falling when it crumbles. It's very 60s sci-fi. No, this is like a very special Bond film for me in a lot of ways because it was my first one in the theater. Not the first one I'd ever seen, but the first one in the theater. Um, and my granddad took me to see it, and Bond was like a big thing between us. And this is his favorite Bond film. It's not mine, but it's definitely up there for me. Of course, it made my list, and I adore it. It's a very fun and engaging action film to the point where there are things in it where you're like, oh, that doesn't really make sense, but I don't care. I don't care that he just drops a train that he knows will be there in order to hit Bond. I don't care. It's awesome.
I don't either. You know why? Because that was an action bit that stuck with you as much as anything
Yeah.
over the last decade before that. Like, you've never seen that.
Yeah. No, it's super cool. It's got a great villain. Every time Javier Bardem comes up, I always quote that Red Letter Media review of Skyfall where they call him Javier Boredom. That bit, I think, is an underrated half in the bag bit where they go, "This movie stars Javier Boredom because he's so boring. It also stars Daniel Boredom because he's so boring." It's wonderful. But yeah, no, he's great, obviously, as Silva, and he's very memorable. And it falls into that like post Dark Knight, like, oh, the villain wanted to be caught thing that we were doing a lot at this point. But I think it's one of the better ones to do that. Uh, it's very effective. I also love Q. You can't really beat Desmond Llewellyn's Q, but I do really like the new Q that they introduced in Skyfall, and it gives a really great and fitting send off for Judi Dench. Also, as a Bond fan, the year Skyfall came out was like the most amazing thing ever. Like they went all out for the 50th anniversary, which made me very disappointed that they did absolutely nothing for the 60th. Well, even this set, I think, is the 50th anniversary set, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, this might be updated now that I think about it, because I think this came with Skyfall, where the 50th one didn't. So this would have been right after, but it was made for the 50th. Essentially, they just added a disc. Yeah.
Yeah, the box
And for
sets I
Cat
have.
Movie.
I'll give you that one. That one.
I
I wasn't sure. I wasn't even sure if it would make your list.
No, I like Skyfall a lot.
I couldn't remember where you fell on that one.
No, and I feel like
I mean, I knew you
at
didn't
this
hate it or
point-
anything, but when you said
I
this is a very
started to
special
hear
film for me, I was like, I didn't know if it mattered to you as much as.
Yeah, no, it was a pretty big deal for me at the time, and now, like obviously, like I said, I got a connection to this, but I do feel like I hear more and more people kind of come out and be like, everybody overrated it at the time. It's not very good, which is surprising to me because it's still a lot of fun. And if you think that, go watch Spectre because that 100% is
Train
the
wreck.
exact opposite of Skyfall in every way.
That is a train wreck. That train that he drops in the Skyfall contained Spectre.
That's true.
What do we have? Three James Bond movies on your list? We have License to Kill, and then the two. Was there
Yeah.
any others? Okay.
I had to check because I couldn't remember. Yes. Three so far. 3 and counting.
Yeah, that was a movie I desperately needed that summer. And sorry for saying this, Connor, but because I was so disappointed with Rises, and then that comes in and does some of that I thought kind of better than that did, which is weird. And it's also just weird the way Bond and Batman are always chasing each other.
You never need to apologize
There is this
for that.
There is this symbiotic relationship going on between those properties. Well, I know. I just
Bond is the Catwoman of real life. They're just always the bat and the cat going back and forth.
I just never want you to
mental
think that I'm
image.
intentionally crapping on movies you like because you're here. It's like, you know what? I bet he wouldn't even say that if I wasn't sitting here.
No, I've heard you say that before. That's totally cool. I've made my peace, you know.
Also, at this point, and I do like No Time to Die, but I really think Skyfall probably should have been Daniel Craig's last Bond film. Uh, it's like a really nice note to kind of send off on.
Yeah, it kind of has that Days of Future Past thing in a weird way, to me, where if you make a like sort of like reunion throwback like legacy sequel thing, you kind of don't want to see anything after that. At least like with that same cast and like same creative team and stuff like that.
You live
But it's
long
very
enough
good,
to
like
see it
riding into the
become
sun.
apocalypse. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, exactly.
What's worse, Cap? Spectre or X-Men
I knew you were
Apocalypse?
gonna ask that. I think Spectre might be worse, but Apocalypse pisses me off more.
I'm glad No Time to Die isn't Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say
Yes,
like at
yes.
least
Like
one of these
objectively, if you don't like that movie, it is not Dark Phoenix.
at least one of these franchises was allowed to come around and kind of redeem itself.
See, that's the Bond way, though, right? Bond
Yeah.
always finds a way to redeem itself. X-Men is a crapshoot every time, like every time.
Every
It's like,
time.
hey guys, like,
That's great. My 71 is a real obligatory and an obvious pick, and you guys will have will probably be like, oh yes, of course, that's got to be on your list somewhere. Um, Although people probably will expect me to put this a little higher. Uh, but my 71 is A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, which is one of several of my sort of biopic movies. Although one of the things I love about this movie is that they didn't go biopic with it. That it's a based on a true story movie. Where Fred Rogers is obviously like the catalyst for the story and the reason that you're going to see it, but is not actually the protagonist in the film. And it's about a journalist who did like an op-ed piece on him and who was deeply personally affected by his time with him, and Fred Rogers kind of facilitates his character arc, and he comes to see the world in a more positive way after spending time with Fred Rogers, because I don't know how you could possibly spend any amount of time with Fred Rogers and not become less cynical. But one of the things that so I was really excited for this to come out. I'm a giant fan of Fred Rogers, the man. It's funny because when I was growing up, I never liked Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and I like compared to like Sesame Street and some other kid shows. I was like I always liked him, but I didn't like the segments in the Land of Make Believe, and that always kind of bored me. And I was like, you know what? If you would just talk to me for half an hour, I would watch the show. But then I got to go watch freaking Daniel Tiger, and I just don't care. But then I grew up, and I started not just going back and revisiting that show, but like reading his books on parenting and early childhood and stuff, and his philosophy on uh, children's education and stuff really resonated with me, and he's a real personal hero for me now, and has been for about 10 years. And so it's kind of cool that right after I started going down this like deep dive rabbit hole thing with Fred Rogers, and really kind of changed the way I looked at parenting and just kind of the world at large. We suddenly had all of this kind of like Fred Rogers material happening, because we got this movie just a few years after that, and then just before that, a really wonderful documentary on the man, and that documentary is called "Won't You Be My Neighbor?" and I kind of wish it hadn't stolen that title before the quote unquote biopic came out, because I actually think that title suits this movie a little better. I like Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood is fine, but it almost feels like you're just stuck with the other like memorable quote from that song. Like this is a movie about a journalist uh, who like comes to appreciate and respect Fred Rogers, who thinks that at first like maybe he's kind of a crank, and that there's got to be some kind of like scam happening with him, or skeletons in his closet. Like he can't be what he purports to be. And Fred Rogers, like everyone he meets, that's his attitude. Won't you be my neighbor? And I feel like it being about these two guys, that was probably the right title. But whatever. It 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 deserves to be on the list for, and the whole movie's great, but it deserves to be on the list for one particular scene that gutted me in the theater. I've probably not teared up in any harder than I did with that scene, which is the Fred Rogers is really known for this, where he'll like whether he's with us like one on one with a person, or in a room with people, he would like stop everything and ask everyone to take 60 seconds to think about the people that made them who they were. And the movie does that, and the whole film stops for 60 straight seconds, and kind of like within this fictional recreation of real events, is asking the audience to do it too, and it just freaking gutted me. It was great. The documentary does it too, but that's the one thing that this movie does that was even more powerful than that documentary. Boy, that got me. It was wonderful. And it's also cool because, that, if memory serves, that's where the cameos are for both his wife and the guy who played Mr. McFeely. And so they cut to them in that. I think they might be even sitting at the same table together. I forget. But it cuts to them during that 60 seconds. And I was like, this is the classiest thing I've ever seen in a movie theater. I just could not get my mind around the fact that they even did that. It was wonderful. Tom Hanks is really good. For recognizable actors, he feels like kind of the only person that probably could play it. Like it's kind of the obvious choice. What's funny is, I feel like listening to Tom Hanks talk about Fred Rogers, he's both able to tap in pretty well, like in playing him, to what Fred Rogers was all about, and also kind of not get him at all. Like when he talks about him, it's like that's how good of an actor Tom Hanks is. Is like he cannot articulate the way he talks about Fred Rogers. Is like I don't know. Man was a little odd. Like I don't know if I fully understand why he acts the way he acts. But then the performance gets it. Like it's kind of fascinating, listening to him talk about it versus what the performance is. And the last thing I'll say is I really appreciate how down to earth the movie is, and that it takes risks to present the world more or less as it is, just as Fred Rogers would always try to do. So there is a bit of an edge to it. It opens with this weird kind of like, I don't know how to even put it, like almost out of continuity episode of Mr. Rogers that obviously would not happen and would never air, where it's showing it's him like showing pictures of people, and he opens up a flap, and it's the protagonist of the movie who's just gotten beaten up and has like this massive black eye. And in the theater, I'm like, that's how you open your Mr. Rogers movie? Like, what a crazy risk to take. And it's not scared of talking about like true cynical, violent, terrible things. And it's just wonderful, and it's a movie that I feel we need to go back to every couple of years.
Very cool. Yeah, when you were talking, I was like, oh, you're putting the Mr. Rogers documentary here. This is a little lower than that. So, I mean, I don't know if you'll have the documentary on your list. Maybe you will, but it is pretty cool that they
I can't give away all my secrets.
No, I think it's really cool that I know that you at least liked the documentary. So I'm not gonna try to project anything.
I want to say I reviewed both of these when they came out. Maybe I forget.
I think so.
Because I think the documentary is 18, and I know that's the end of 2019.
Yeah.
That's really cool that you liked both of those, and they both came out in such close proximity to one another, and one's a documentary, but one's a drama. I don't know, because I think the existence of the documentary, it kind of allows the narrative feature film to sort of get a little bit more experimental and less educational. So you said, it has that interesting opening. There's a dream sequence that the main guy has where he's in the land of make believe.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
There is kind of formally interesting choices that are being taken just with that movie, and I think they maybe felt a little emboldened to do that. Because the documentary was very popular, it had just come out, and so they could maybe go their own way a little bit.
Yeah, they're really good companion pieces, but one's not supplementary to the other either. I like what you said about that was educational, so this doesn't have to be. You don't have to know anything at all about Fred Rogers' history to appreciate that movie, because it's through the lens of a guy that doesn't know about anything about him either.
I never saw the documentary, and that's I don't know how that. I do want to see that documentary because I've only ever heard excellent things about it.
Yeah, you should.
I did like that movie when I saw it.
It's amazing. And I was able to see both of them in the theater. The documentary got a theatrical release.
Yeah.
Which I was kind of surprised by, because a lot of the time we don't do that anymore.
It was, and I want to say for a theatrically released documentary, it did really good business.
Yeah. It was there for a while. Because I went twice. I liked it so much. That's probably the only documentary I've ever gone to the theater to more than one time.
That's cool. Because that same year, Peter Jackson did a World War I documentary.
I've always wanted to see that. Yeah, isn't that documentary where he found a bunch of period footage and restored it?
Yes.
Is that what that is?
Colorized it. Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me about that, because I have meant to see that ever since then. I mean, I think there was an advertisement for it in front of the Mr. Rogers documentary, which is why I knew about it.
Yeah, I think that did okay, but it didn't do as well as the Mr. Rogers documentary.
Wow.
Someone fact check me on that. I want to say mentally, I remember a lot of people, the word of mouth on the Rogers documentary was great. And so much so that I kind of expected Won't You Be My Neighbor, or sorry, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. I kind of expected that to have a bigger run at the box office or popularity because of that documentary, and it kind of just came and went, but it was good. So I'm glad it made an impression on you.
Yeah, I never checked to see how it did at the box office. I figured it probably broke even.
Yeah, probably. I remember I saw that at 9 in the morning because
it did okay against its budget. With advertising and stuff, it probably basically broke even, but they spent $25 million on it, and it did 70.
That's not bad. That's better than I thought it was.
It's really not bad.
That's pre-pandemic, baby. That's what we had. But I did see Peter Jackson's documentary, but it was after it was out of theaters. So it was on a laptop. I feel like I kind of underserved that movie by watching it on a laptop.
The way they advertised it, it really felt like a thing you wanted to go to the big screen to see. Which is kind of ironic, because the Mr. Rogers documentary, not necessarily. I'm glad I got to see that on a big screen, I guess, but you don't need that for that material.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of grainy TV footage, because
That's
you know,
the source they
that
have. Yeah.
that stuff's not been preserved super well, and also was filmed on, on video in the first place, and so
Yeah.
it's got like, uh, I don't know what you call it, but like when the lights that you're filming kind of strafe, like when you film on video, it does that. It always drives me crazy with PBS stuff. Anyway, well, we're at 2 hours, and that's the end of our films this evening.
We did it, guys. Another one in
Yay.
the can.
What were you gonna say, Austin?
No, yeah, we did it.
We did it. Well, everybody, thanks for watching. I'm gonna be off all next week, so we'll be back in a couple of weeks for another one of these, probably on a Thursday after a request. Connor, thanks for taking the time out to continue doing this preposterous gauntlet with us. We really appreciate it.
No, I'm happy to do it. I'm just happy because I didn't know when we first started doing this how many we'd get through in one stream. So these movies have been sitting on my desk for months now. Because I grabbed like 25 or something and I just like stuck them here. And I'm finally through them. So now I got to go back and grab the other ones and bring them out here.
Well, it's
Yeah,
gonna
normally I've
take
been
us
grabbing the next
forever.
10, but today I grabbed the next 5. I was correct.
That's what I've been doing. Finally, I started with 10, and I was like, we're never gonna, especially bringing in a third person, we're never gonna get through 10 on one stream probably. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna take a long time to finish this, but I've been enjoying it. It seems like the audience is enjoying it, and it's just such an eclectic assortment of movies. Like having 3 of us, we get to hear about so many different films. It's kind of cool.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we got a John Waters film, a David Lynch film, and a Mr. Rogers biopic all in one evening.
Hey, I got Stanley Kubrick in there.
I didn't mean like in terms of like great directors. I just meant you
Oh.
got Filth, you got Elvis Rock and Roll, and then Mr. Rogers.
And then the most wholesome thing you could think of.
Pink Flamingos, exactly.
Right. And Speed.
Have you seen that? Have you seen that clip of so John Waters loved Eraserhead, and he was like telling everybody you at his midnight screenings, being like, "You guys got to go next door. You got to see Eraserhead. It's crazy. It's awesome." And then David Lynch, I think, saw Pink Flamingos or whatever, like contemporary it was, and he didn't say anything, but you could tell he wasn't really into it. But he's like, "Thank you, John. You're so sweet. I've gotten so much business from you. I can't say enough nice things about you." But he doesn't say anything about his movie.
Oh, that reminds me. For like the last 2 years, I've been super excited that John Waters was making a new movie with Aubrey Plaza, and then learned like a week or 2 ago that it had just been kind of quietly canceled. I guess they couldn't find funding, and that was incredibly depressing.
Wow, he's still
Yeah.
struggling. Yeah, that sucks.
Yep. And I was like, that's a perfect actor to work with, John Waters. But what can you do?
I'm trying to wrap this up for 5 minutes, and we keep.
No,
Yeah,
you're
sorry.
good. No problem. Well, thanks everybody for watching. We sure appreciate it. We'll see you in a couple weeks. I was Captain Logan, and we had Austin the Day Ghost.
Good night, everybody.
And Connor the Nielsen. Bye, folks.
Ciao.